tell us who you think really does have the most pressure on them heading into this season.
So I'm going to start in a place that might surprise you. I think Ben Roethlisberger has a lot of pressure on him because we think of him as an all-time great. He is a Super Bowl champion, and he's probably going to go in the Hall of Fame, but we do think of him as a tier below some of those greats like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady, and in part because it's the one Super Bowl he won, it was because of a phenomenal defense, and he was kind of like a game manager. And last season, he ran off two very talented players in Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. So there's a lot of pressure on him right now to stand up and still be successful. And I think if he could potentially lead this team to a Super Bowl victory, I think he does get bumped up to that kind of legendary status. And he's coming off a season last year where he had 34 touchdowns, but he also led the league in interceptions with 16. My number 4 one is Lamar Jackson in the same conference. I think Lamar Jackson is interesting because he's a unique player, but this league is obviously built around passing, and Lamar Jackson is not great at passing the ball very accurately, and I think he can have success, but he's not going to get very much breathing room because people aren't used to seeing someone succeed in the way that he would have to succeed. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think the fans in Baltimore are happy to be moved on from Joe Flacco, but if he doesn't produce early on, and if he can't hit easy throws, the type of throws that he missed in the playoff game against the Chargers, they're going to lose faith in him and move on pretty quickly. And next, again, we're going to stick with a guy who used to be in this division and is now up in New York, Le'Veon Bell. So I think he held out, and he set a bunch of precedent by sitting out for the entire season. And there's a lot of pressure on him to come back and have Sam Darnold improve and him also have a great season because we rarely see, I can't remember the last time I saw a player sit out for an entire season. So if he sits out for last entire season, then he comes in and plays poorly or gets hurt, everyone, whether it's tied to him sitting out or not, everyone's going to jump on that and talk about Le'Veon Bell failing there. So Derek Carr is my next one. He's under a ton of pressure because there's no money on the end of his deal after this. If he doesn't play well, he will be kind of thought of as a future backup quarterback. Right now, he seems like a lame duck. He has an opportunity to be a starter, maybe in Oakland, but most likely elsewhere. So he's having a tryout this season for every other team in the league that might need a quarterback, and he can't blame it on anybody else. His deep ball is falling off, but you can't say that he doesn't have the playmakers around him because they brought in guys like Tyrell Williams and AB to help him out and support him going forward, and running back Josh Jacobs. And number one.
To prove, number one.
It's easy. It's Kyler Murray.
Whoa.
Because, I mean, absolutely. So not only is Cliff Kingsbury's future dependent on Kyler Murray's success, but I think Kyler Murray is playing for an idea. Like, the idea of having a quarterback this small go number 1 overall and to build around him is something that everyone would have laughed at if we talked about this 4 or 5 years ago. So if Kyler Murray fails, this kind of changes the dynamics, I think, for the future of this position. But if he succeeds, it certainly changes what we think about when we see a quarterback going forward. So I think he's while there's a ton of pressure for him to succeed for himself and Cliff Kingsbury, you also put on top of that that they're an awful team. Like, they were bad last year.
Which I think would bring the pressure down.
Yeah, that's the problem.
No one ever gives you that excuse.
My issue with this is, being an Eagles fan, where's Carson Wentz on this? Because, listen, MVP expectations, hasn't finished the last 2 seasons because he's been hurt. I love Carson, but he's got to prove something. He doesn't have Nick Foles behind him. How do we view that?
I don't think that it would be crazy to put Carson Wentz on the list, but MVP season, you said that. He had an MVP caliber season.
That's the standard.
No, I'm saying that he had an MVP caliber season, so I don't think the question's out there if he can play well. I think Carson Wentz...
Can he stay healthy with his style?
Yeah, that's not a lot of pressure on him, though. That's a pressure on his ligaments.
We got 10 seconds. Jordan, who would you add to the
Jameis and Mariota, both in a fifth-year option. Guys that number 1, number 2, are they busts? Are they going to get paid?
Everyone, thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, more analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+. We'll see you there.